Hello, my friends! Today I have for you a clever move you may not have seen before, which I learned from this bot game. Tack 0 with the white pieces and tilt tack with the black pieces, beginning with an adjacent corners opening, which proceeds into a very normal looking center game, with each player harmonizing with their own corner piece. White extending at d4, and tilt tack playing its favorite move ever, capstone c4, centralizing its most powerful piece and exchanging immediacy for flexibility by developing its most powerful piece immediately. At this point, Tack 0 asks a question, says, "Can I come to b2 and ruin your vertical?" And black says, "No, I like my vertical." Now, instead of fixing shape or cutting at b3, Tack 0 does go ahead and continue immediately with d5, and black fixes shape at b3, disliking the notion of capstone at c3 or flat at c3, and knowing that it has no hope of beating white to the first tack threat, goes ahead and makes shape. White fixes back and develops its vertical, and in this position, tilt tack does something slightly passive, but which makes a lot of sense, completing the Citadel with b4, with the idea that if white were to play very naively here and simply make the tack threat, black can capture onto the road using its most powerful piece, and although white has capstone c4 backfill, black can simply continue the vertical with b5, and at some point this horizontal is coming too, and white has to make multiple captures. White's capstone is simply feeling a little bit overwhelmed here. It has prospects, it's not completely dead, but it looks a little bit stupid, which I think is the point of b4. Tack 0 being one of the strongest bots, and until very recently, the undisputably strongest bot in tack, of course does not allow this. Instead, in this position, Tack 0 plays a very interesting move that you may not have seen before with b5. Now, at first when I saw this move, I was very confused, but after black plays the very natural c5, continuing upwards and disallowing this connection, the point becomes clear, because white now continues with the tack threat that we just saw a moment ago with d1, and black captures onto the road as intended. But now in this position, with c4 backfill, suddenly things are very clear. This capstone harmonizes amazingly well with the stone on b5. Black cannot continue the road on b5 because white has a stone there, and black was in fact induced to play this c5 move, which now looks very dumb because this vertical road is being cut by this capstone on c4. So, by pinching the Citadel, white has somehow created a much better home for its capstone, anticipating c4 to the right, capture by black, and needing to do this backfill. Now, in order to prove to you that this move isn't some super niche thing that will never come up here in your own games, I have an example from a tournament game that I played recently. I'm playing the white pieces against FaZe Spaced in the 2025 7x7 Open, and in this position, I felt a little bit uncomfortable. I have an initiative on the right side of the board, but black's capstone is situated to disrupt it perfectly. My road is very thin, black has the center with good shape, and it seemed unclear to me how I was going to solidify my position, because it seemed like after e3 to the right, I simply have no way to continue comfortably. But of course, and it's very obvious because I've primed you to see this move, in this position I found the move d2, performing exactly the same pinching maneuver that I saw literally days prior to playing this game from that Tack 0 game. Now in this position, black continues downwards with e2, not wanting to let me cover and ruin its vertical. And after this d2 throw-in move, I went ahead with tack threat. Black continued with a slight in-between move, anticipating that this square would be better for this flat. After the capstone descends onto f3, I go ahead with a second tack threat, and black comes here. But now, after I backfill, suddenly my position looks a lot better than it would have without this exchange at the bottom. And for the same reasons as we discussed before, my capstone on e3 has a much better home. As well, the black capstone in the corner at f3 is totally dominated, being boxed into the corner by my two capstones, and I have a lot of activity. I have a horizontal, I have a vertical, all of my prospects are coming alive. I think that's everything for today. I hope somebody finds this useful, and probably I'll see you next time.